Welcome to the podcast, hablemos de lo nuevo. For the G's, by the G's, que pasa en el terreno. Vienen jugadores y se van, traiga lo nuevo. A huevo. Doesn't matter where you from, Salvador, Mexico, Honduras, Nicaragua. Todo mi latino, come and listen for an hour. TikTok, que traemos lo que quiere, todo lo que pasa dentro y fuera de las redes. Really? You don't know what it is. Reportamos con la lupa what we see at the digs. En las buenas y en las malas yo diré la verdad. Si cometen un error o tienen habilidad, la calidad del rival cuando viene a jugar. Facts. Yo no me muerdo la lengua. Got love for the crest in the city I came from. Los campeones de campeones y con copas mi race. No empezamos el programa, soy la voz de LA One. Soy la voz de LA One. Love. Yeah.
Hello, hola, and buenas, all you LA Galaxy fans out there, wherever you are in the world. To all you Lacuna Galaxians, thank you once again for hanging with us here for our first session of group therapy in 2024. I'm Rob Halon, one of your co-hosts. You can find my written work at Last Word on Sports, and of course, you can always interact with me online at El Escudero de LA. Boy, I wish I had better news for y'all, but today we'll be reacting to the Galaxy's first defeat of 2024, a 2-1 El Tráfico reversal, shenanigans, and everything else that you want at the hands of the city rivals, LAFC, on Saturday. But should it have been a defeat? Or, were there other things at play here in this match? But before we go any further and dive any further into conspiracy theories and whatnot, let me bring back to you my co-host, El Yerno Guapo, El Gitano Perdido, the one and only ride or die GN homie, Anandita Kirana. ¿Cómo te sientes, papá? How are you dealing with this El Tráfico loss?
Better that it's like 2 days after the fact, but nah, man, still just I know we usually do the one-word reactions thing, and the word just popped into mind. So I'm just gonna say right now, it's annoying. I'm annoyed, right? That's my one-word match reaction. It was annoying on many fronts, but look, we know we're gonna lose this year, right? It's bound to happen. It just sucks that it had to happen against them lot up the 110 freeway, and that's just annoying, man. I don't know. There's no other word to sum it up other than that, Papa. So yeah, a little annoyed. But I'm doing all right. Let's new week, new start. Let's try to get it back next week, and I'm already looking forward to next week. So there you go.
When you lose, don't lose the lesson.
That's right.
The Dalai Lama and Dave Chappelle said it. But anyway, man, you know what? I'm gonna call you out for the umpteenth week in a row. You didn't do your thing, and the people want to know your thing. They want to see your thing. Come on, man, break it down.
Yeah. Well, really quick though, while I'm doing my housekeeping here, you guys, I already spilled the beans on my one-word match reaction. So why don't you guys put that down below? I'm gonna ask Robert too in a little bit. Let's see what he has to say, since he was at the stadium, unfortunately, feeling the pain. And man, I don't envy you at all, trying to be as neutral and as professional as possible as a journalist, but I know you were hurting deep down inside seeing that shellacking live, unfortunately. But yeah, really quick housekeeping before we get there. So you guys can always block me or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. You guys can always find us on all of our socials at Lacuna Galaxiana. If you found this YouTube channel, so if this is your first time, welcome in. If this is you coming back, chat, we love you. So welcome back. And remember, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and help us out. This little channel that we're trying to grow. Already at 150 subs, so we're moving on up, as they say. We're getting a little closer, just step by step, inch by inch. Go ahead and subscribe, and if you like it, give us a like as well, and put someone on. Go ahead and share this video on all your socials, or just send your buddies a WhatsApp or a text message on with the link. And yeah, put someone on if you are enjoying this, and if your friends also need group therapy like we will do today. And of course, Roberto, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches, y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana. I have a feeling this is not going to be La Cunita. We're going to have a lot to react to and sort of moan and kind of look back on. But you know what? We'll get through it together. This is group therapy. This is our first one this year, guys. So I think that's a positive. I'm going to look at it at a glass half full here. That is a positive. This is our first one. But like I said, it is just annoying that we lost to that lot up the 110. Robert, what's your? I'm interested to hear what's your one word match reaction, man. What'd you think?
Well, before I give you guys mine, I really like what Raul has to say exposed, because I think it gave Galaxy opponents a blueprint for how to play against them in a low block, be physical, and hit on the break in transition, and that's where LAFC got a bunch of their got a lot of their success.
Yeah.
And so they were exposed in the ways that we knew they had been already, set pieces. But anyway, that's just basically the pod in general. I think we could wrap it up and go home now, right?
All right, we need to be here for the chat. So let's have our little kumbaya session and let's get through this together, boys and girls.
Well, you asked me for my one word.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say anticlimactic.
Okay.
And I expected a lot more from both teams. Supposedly LAFC's attack is one of the best attacks in Major League Soccer. And I didn't really see that. I mean, they're potent for sure, got their chances. But I felt like they underwhelmed, but the Galaxy underwhelmed as well. So and then we spoke about in the last pod about how this fixture always has a lot of goals, and it's at like 4.3, 4.5, something like that. 3 goals in this one, and it should have only really been 2. So that's mine. Anticlimactic. But you know what? All this defeat right now that Galaxy fans are feeling, it makes you want to drink, right? So what better time than in Austin when you see Ananda and you're playing SADA, see Ananda, drink Ananda. That's right. Lacuna Galaxians and LA Galaxy fans will be in Austin. Me and Ananda are going to be gallivanting around there. If you see us, come say hi. We want to hook up and meet you and share in Galaxy community and stuff like that in Texas. So come out and play SADA. You know what? You too can be an all-star at SADA, and we'll get you there. You see it on it, you tag them, you get them. So anyway, guys, that's kind of my feeling on the game in a nutshell. Of course, we're gonna break it down way more for you. Hey, I can't disagree with the sentiment that the better team won on the day. You know what? The game ultimately comes down to who scores the goals. And you know what? Scoreline is 2-1. So anyway, so guys, before we get into actual like game breakdownness, we're gonna give you some shout outs. We only have a couple of them for you today. This is a Lacunita, so this is technically supposed to be one of the shorter pods, and Ananda always tries to keep me honest, but I do tend to ramble on there. But anyway, we're gonna hit you up with the Liga G playoffs first and foremost. The finals happened last night, Sunday, April 7th, and what don't you know it, Ananda? Mamba repeated, so that is their record 7th crown.
Wow.
Number 1 Mamba faced number 3 Atomic in game 1. And it sounds like all these games were really like defensive slugfest, right? Because Atomic won on penalties in game 1. In game 2, Mamba scored a 118th minute winner, right? And in game 3, Mamba wins 2-1. So it sounds like the margin of error here was very, very small, and Mamba pulls it out because of their experience, I guess. 7th crown. They won last year. They were undefeated last year, monsterish. So anyway, there is a benchmark in Liga G, everybody, and it is called Mamba. So congratulations to them for their record 7th crown, and congratulations as well to the LA Galaxy Academy. They took part in the Generation Adidas Cup. The U17s made it all the way to the final. So congratulations to those boys. On the way, they beat San Jose, Sporting KC, and River Plate, which was one of the surprises of the tournament. Unfortunately, they lost in penalties to Philadelphia 5-4 after regulation ended 2-2, but still the same. Massive congratulations to those boys. Ananda, I don't know if you heard or realized, but Coach Vanney's two twin sons play for play for the U17s, and one of them actually scored in the final. So you know what, big futures. It'll be fun to see some Vanney kids in the team, right? So we have already people sounding off about the polemic.
Oh, we'll get there, boys. We will get there.
Contentious penalty, the big play that everybody is going to be talking about here. Kick and ball pod says no era penal, a reference to the great saying there from Mexico, Netherlands, and no era penal. So anyway, the Galaxy Academy, bright futures, all those boys. I mean, you had Harbor Miller in that side, Ananda. We saw him at the CVI, and he scored there. I mean, he's got a big future. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get some minutes in the first team next year. So congratulations to them, and congrats to Ventura County FC, aka Galaxy 2, if you know them as that, for their 2-1 win over Vancouver Whitecaps 2. They're still undefeated through 3 matches, y'all. They're in first place, and the star of this one was Gino Vivi. I don't know, Ananda, did you see this goal?
No, I didn't, but I should see it because I heard people were like, hey, people have been telling me like it was a screamer. Yeah,
it was filth. I mean, guy, he's on the left, right, just like right above the box on the left, and he just drops the shoulder, goes to the right, and just that power finesse shot like in League of G, man. Just
right bumper, huh?
Yeah, man. Right, it was beautiful. Gino Vivi went off, and yeah, I mean that's probably got to be up there for like goal of the week in MLS Next Pro for sure. And then the VCFC gets their winning goal off of an own goal. Max Anchor has a moment that he'd rather forget very quickly, and that's the way it ends up, 2-1. So congratulations to VCFC. They're still undefeated in first place. And then you know what, we have media availability a little bit later this week, and I really hope that we get to ask Greg or Coach Vanney about this next one, or potentially even Will Kuntz, because he's ever present. But this transfer rumor that we saw earlier today. Now I'm not really taking it seriously, Ananda. I don't think the paper is there, and I don't think the Galaxy are best served having 2 or 3 at this point. With his signing. Mature center backs. So I don't really see that much in it, but we'll try to get to the bottom of it for you guys. Of course, the pedigree is there. Ananda, you're a Madridista. What would this signing mean for you? I mean, first off, let's talk about a silly season world in which it happens. Like, what would it mean for you?
Oh, I mean, I would love it as
and what would it mean for the team?
I mean, I would love it as a former Madrid fan. Of course, I follow Spain too. I mean, I would love it, right? I mean, he's a beast, but I'm surprised we were even talking about this, man. When I saw you put this in the agenda, I was like, should we? I mean, is this like real? Is this really real? Because like it doesn't follow suit.
I'm glad you asked me why. I'm glad you asked me why.
Yeah, why did you put it in here? Because I don't I think it's fluff, but
no. So do I. But I mean it. Remember how last week we were talking about how the Galaxy can now go out and get players like Joseph Paintsil, who Will said in Joseph Paintsil's presentation earlier this season, 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible, right? But at the same time, you also have those star players, those players that have, played at the highest level, winning Champions Leagues and stuff like that. And the Galaxy can still attract those players, right? And so it's not a surprise to see them linked with Don Sergio. Don Sergio was also linked with Inter Miami. I see that actually being a bigger possibility, but you know
Yeah,
what, we'd
probably.
have to talk to El Presidente Don Fernando Fiore about, you know, if that's even possible for them. But yeah, I mean, I put it in there just to show you, like, um, the Galaxy haven't really been moving like that recently, but don't be surprised when, you know, in the summer they pull some kind of move like this, you know, some kind of recognized name. I mean, Lewandowski was heavily linked. At one point, Bobby Firmino was linked. I mean, a bunch of big names like that, right? So you know what? Don't count the Galaxy out on anything. But yeah, I agree with you. This one's kind of more fluff for me as well. I don't see it working money wise. And then again, 3 mature center backs not really
Yeah.
working. But
Well,
yeah,
I'll tell you.
I thought it'd be fun to
What.
hypothesize, right?
I'll tell you what. I'll take a name in as a second striker position, and that's something we should probably look at this summer. That's a whole other conversation and rabbit hole. But yeah, I mean, I'm down with your line of thinking. I don't think the center back's in the right position though, because we know we've got Jalen to come, we've got Garces. I mean, if the injuries, of course, barring a major injury, like that's something what we need. But I mean, looking at that Galaxy bench this weekend, you know, I feel like we might need some attacking firepower this summer, but that's again, we might explore that a little bit later as we talk about the game. But yeah,
Window's technically still open. I mean,
yeah, but
again,
thing is,
not a lot of paper.
yeah, the thing is, a lot of seasons are over in the summer. So in the summer,
yeah,
like
obviously.
I think there's going to be a larger pool of players at that point when the people's contracts expire, etc. So let's see, man. Let's see.
Oh, kick a ball pod. We will get there for sure. Sergio as center back. Yeah, we were surprised too. Welcome back, executive producer Herb.
Shout out to Herb here. Yeah, shout out to the executive producer Herb, by the way. Viewers and listeners, let's hit that like, subscribe button. There you go, man. Love that energy.
He's and did he just throw his hat into the ring for the Prime Minister of?
I think he did too. Man, we've got a couple. Yeah, the Prime
What are we calling this?
Well, we have a couple, right? The chief like officer, the VP of likes, and we've got a couple. Now you're throwing in there the Prime Minister of likes. Kind of like that one, actually.
Yeah, the Prime Minister.
Anyway,
okay. You know what?
The Don of likes.
I forgot to know who the G was that just threw this up on X. But Ananda, you know I like a deal, right? And you know that my wifey loves Costco. And now I found out that you can get some LA Galaxy gear at Costco.
Hey.
At the Alhambra Costco anyway. If you're watching this pod, it's a you know, it's on the screen so you can see it, but if you're listening, it's a blue t-shirt, Los Angeles across the top, kind of like in a rainbow thing, and then the crest in the middle there, only $16.99. So go hit up your Costco if you want to get some, you know, just like that around the house t-shirt. I haven't gone to get it yet, but that's probably going to be one of my pickups, Ananda. So
just be careful. Remember what we talked about the other day, man. When you go into Costco, you're not only buying one thing. You know, you're la cuenta sube rápidamente, papá.
Yeah, man. You go into Costco for a rotisserie chicken, and then you walk out $300 later.
Exactly.
No, it's terrible. But yeah, you can get some Galaxy gear there. I mean, for a long time in those dark years, in those dark Voldemort years, he who shall not be named, like I would go a bunch of different places that would carry soccer gear, and I wouldn't see a lot of Galaxy gear, right? And it would make me very sad. So now, like, you know, at least say a national brand like Costco's like, you know what, let's throw a Galaxy t-shirt in here or two, you know? So props to them. But Ananda, I know that you asked me how the stadium was, and I kind of gave you a little bit of preview, but I wanted to find out from you, man. What was the atmosphere like at the watch party? I know there was a bunch of watch parties going around.
Yeah.
You guys can see them up here. I mean, this lovely graphic done by ACB. Whenever there's an away game, we try to feature this one. So you were at the York, and
yes.
you hooked up with those folk over there. Shout out to Man Called This. Shout out to Tony.
Yep.
Man, so break it down for me. What was the feeling there? What was you know, when they caught the early goal, you know, what was going on?
Well, you know what the most annoying part was, and man, we gotta do something about this. But like, as like a couple of minutes before that, Rob, unfortunately, some Leva fans showed up, and we were just kind of like, oh, kind of like dampened the mood a little bit. Again, it's the way they coordinate these things. I have no control over it, but yeah. So like, you know, obviously when that goal went in, there was cheering, and we were just all kind of like ugh, you know, like, but then when we scored the goal though, man, I was celebrating with Bixby. Shout out, man. And those cats over there. Jeff in 109 was there too. So shout out all you guys there. But yeah, again, I was trying to be honest with you, man. I was trying to just like keep it cool, analyze the game. I was really trying to like, because I was very interested in what would happen tactically and sort of how the game played out. And like you said, it was a little bit anticlimactic, right? But yeah, it was fun. Like the vibe was fun. Like obviously all the G's that you went last time, they were super cool. Just unfortunately, but we went out there not the happiest, right? We were not that we weren't impressed, but of course, like everyone was riding the wave of the start that we had. And I think we just all were let down, including myself. Like I was really let down. I was like, how did we lose that game? Or why did we lose that game? Of course, now a couple of days later, I look back at it analytically, and yes, there were a lot of things that we missed on, which we'll talk about too in a little bit. But yeah, vibe was always good. The G's are always welcoming there. But like I said, I don't know. No, I can't, like, when rival fans are walking there, especially those guys, it's like, it just kind of dampened the mood, but it is what it is. So no, I had a good time.
Well, I told you this last pod, but what made the loss even tougher was that I was at this match and I was covering it, and I didn't have my good friend El Profe Alex Reese next to me. Shout out Alex, so welcome back, man. Good to see you. Alexinho dialed in as always. Yeah, so he wasn't there, and I was bummed out. And you know, I mentioned to you backstage that that our good friend Mike Gray wasn't there either. So you know, and then Josh wasn't there, and I was like, man, I miss all these cats. Now, luckily, our friend Justin Ruderman was there. You know, we got to talk and hang out. Yeah, man, it just like I said, something felt off about this one for me. Just even before the loss, you know, just like pulled up, and I was like, man, something feels off. Maybe it's like some of the luster is like getting lost because they're happening so much. But anyway, we'll get into all that. But you know what? You just talked about, you know, a couple of LAFC fans walking into New York, and I'm glad to hear that despite, you know, they're being kind of like, oh man, you know, like we have to share the space, like there was no beef, right? And I didn't really see any beef at the stadium either. Like I know some folk might be like, nah, screw that, like, you know, we gotta scrap, right? But like, nah, I mean, like it's for me, I mean, I'm a 11-round fighter, so you know, like I was glad to see that I didn't see any fights. Unfortunately, post match is where we have some trouble. Ananda, you know, like one of the things that I don't abide like most in the world is racism, man. And Joe Pants was the victim of some racism online. Cannot perpetuate like just the ignorance. We're not even gonna show you know what was said to him, but just
Right.
Man, the Galaxy community, like even now more than ever, needs to get behind him, man, because this is unwarranted, unfathomable in this year and age, this day and age, that we're still having to deal with stuff like this. So you know, strength to him. And you know, I saw this kind of back and forth between LAFC fans and Galaxy fans, you know, kind of like tit for tat, like, well, your guy said this, your guy said that. And like, really what I think it should be is that we should police these supporters, you know, like, or not police the supporters, but like, you know, call out instances of racism, homophobia, sexism, like people being harassed, you know, make it a safe space. I mean, soccer is a game. It should be fun. I remember something very, very wise that one of the guys from Defenders of the Bank once told me. And it's that it's crazy that there's so much hate over a piece of laundry, right? It's a shirt, it's a badge, and yes, we defend it, but like we should not defend it with violence. and even more so, we should not defend it with bigotry or racism. Man, I don't even know what to add to that other than, I mean, we're all behind you, Joe Pants. You're unbreakable, man. Just remember that you're unbreakable. So
I mean, I just want to say, like, just a PSA from my part, just even amongst us Galaxy fans too, and I don't know if any LAFC fans listen to this, but guys, it's just a game. Like, it's really not that deep. It's really not that serious. Yes, we can get tribal about this stuff. This is soccer, especially in sort of the X or Twitter age, right, where things get amplified 3,000%. But it's just a game. Like, banter is great. Banter is fun. I love the banter leading up to it, but there is a line that we shouldn't cross. And like Robert said, I think we just gotta kind of call out if we see that sort of attitude or that kind of just that kind of attitude and sort of sexism and bigotry and all that stuff. Let's just cut it out. And that's all I got to say about that. I think the less said more about this, the better. Unfortunately, man, you and I have to talk about unfortunate and uncomfortable things like this. And yeah, even just me talking about it right now is just uncomfortable. So yeah, I think we all know it's really not
necessary
that deep.
Conversations,
Yeah, it's really not that deep though, guys. And yeah, so that's all I got to say about it, man. And unfortunately, obviously our thoughts are with Joe, and I'm sure. Yeah, again, I'm glad that the Galaxy responded, the league responded, and it is what it is. But it's unfortunate, man. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll leave you guys with this. There's gonna be a lot of soccer here in Los Angeles in the next couple years. A lot of tournaments are coming here. A lot of stuff is happening that are going to put Los Angeles front and center in the soccer world. Let's show them who we are. Let's show them Los Angeles is beautiful. So anyway, enough said about that. Now let's go to the battle that happened on the pitch. In the lead up to this one, of course, Ananda, we spoke about in the last pod of that, or did we not have a chance to, about Eric Zavaleta being on the injured list?
We didn't. It happened after that. I remember, yeah, because it showed up in that MLS roster official.
This happened the day before, right?
The day before the match, I think. Yeah.
What were your thoughts when that happened, right? Because we were already dealing with Martin, and then I had already seen this, but I was in the office, right? So yeah. I hadn't had a chance to react to it or even talk to you about it. So what was your reaction when you saw that Eric Zavaleta was out?
I was like, what the heck happened? And I was like, oh man, this is not going to be a good look for Saturday. But you know what? The one thing I'm glad Vanney did do is he didn't kind of shuffle too many things around. He put one square peg in a round hole, and that was it. Everybody else's position was what was intact. So that was a positive that I saw. But man, just unfortunate, and just kind of shows our lack of center back depth. The other thing too was I thought we were gonna maybe risk Martin a little bit, but in hindsight, I think that again that was a smart decision. We need Martin for the whole season, man. We can't risk it. This is it's El Tráfico. It's a long season, 34 games. We're only 8 games in, so it's a long season. We need him for the whole season, man. So and this is what the line ended up being, with Sergio at center back. My goodness, I guess he only had 1 day of practice as well, because when we all found out about it, that Friday was it.
Yeah, and we spoke to him post-match about it. But you know what? First time for him, but I don't think he played a bad match, man. And
no, not at all.
We'll talk more about how this game unfolded. And talk about the defense here. But Dejan went back into the lineup after suffering that groin scare that kept him out of his record-setting match. But other than that, like you said, Ananda, not too much change in the lineup apart from Sergio. So that's how the Galaxy went into this match. Unfortunately, by the time this match had ended, they had fallen to a 2-1 defeat. But there was a couple silver linings here. Julian Aude got his first goal for the Galaxy. Maya Yoshida looked really good as well. Registered 4 interceptions, 2 clearances, won 3 or 4 duels, and it had game high 7 possessions. And he had a 96.5% pass accuracy rating. But one of the things that we'll talk about here and kind of like breaking apart this match is I found this stat interesting, Ananda. 6 LAFC players received yellow cards in this match.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna tell you that it's El Tráfico, but also part of a tactical game plan. I said that this one kind of felt anticlimactic, but if you were an LAFC fan, this one probably got off to a great start for you, because within 4 minutes, the Galaxy had already been pegged back by, wouldn't you guess it, a set piece. What did you see on this first goal, man? And what did you get to experience, like in the atmosphere around you?
Yeah, I was shaking my head, and we were all shaking our heads, and some guy just said another set piece, and like, man, that's 6 set piece goals against Robert this season. That's the most in MLS. I said it as a kind of a footnote again with Justin and you last time, but I was serious, man. Like, that's from the very first game, that's been an issue, and unfortunately continue to be an issue. You know what, the other thing that bugged me, God, this word annoying keeps coming in my head because it is really annoying. The other annoying thing about this, Robert, if you remember last year at the Rose Bowl, the one goal LAFC scored was off a set piece, off of an Ilie Sanchez header. The same exact play, Robert. Near post, flick on, and
I hadn't realized that.
On that evening,
so
Klinsmann couldn't put a paw on it, but hey, same thing. It's like, and you know what? We might talk about Greg Vanney on this one, but if I'm gonna kind of bring it up now, I think that is one thing I can criticize Vanney on is the set piece preparation, man. I don't know what you got to do, like get in some more practice time, bringing a set piece specialist coach.
Didn't you Gooners bring in a set piece specialist?
We did, and look at us this season, man. We're scoring and defending set pieces. So there you go.
Hey, United, my boys did a little bit of business for you guys the other day, so you're very welcome.
Much appreciated.
But yeah, the Gunners picked up a set piece specialist. I don't know if the Galaxy have one or what's going on there, but yes, they dropped another set piece goal within 4 minutes, and this is when I kind of started shaking my head, and I was like, oh man, is it gonna be one of those days where they just fall apart? Luckily, they did not. The Galaxy were able to get the equalized goal in the 29th minute. Julian Aude with his first one for the club. This one was wild, man. Like, this one went around like a ping pong in the box there. Where the Galaxy took 3 shots before it finally fell to Julian Aude, and he took the 4th shot, and he finally was able to put it away. And from there, I thought, man, like, you know what? They're starting to turn it up. You know, they're starting to get a foothold in this match. You know, they can probably even get another goal before the half, and then calamity, man. The big call of the day, which, you know, we're gonna save because we want to kind of go off.
I'm sure chat has a lot. They're gonna go off on it, so we'll save that for later, chat. Don't you worry.
Well, oh yeah, for sure. No, we're gonna hit it for sure, guys. But Nandita, I know that you're the stats man, so you're gonna go ahead and break down some of these stats that led to this defeat here.
Yeah, so these are those stats per thought mob that I always pull up, and for the audio listeners, I will read them off to you guys. So ball possession, LA Galaxy dominated this game possession-wise, 68% to 32%. Unfortunately, from that possession, we can only generate 1.04 XG versus LAFC's 3.62 expected goals. Shots were almost even, 20 shots for LAFC, 18 for the Galaxy. However, LAFC had 9 of those shots on target, and they created 4 big chances. We only had 4 shots on target, Robert. And here's the big one for me, man. 0 big chances created. We created mostly half chances, but nothing clear cut, which again, credit probably to LAFC's sort of game plan and defense and their formation and their setup on this one. Passing wise, again, it's weird. We controlled the game in terms of like the passing stats too, 90%, 600 211 connected passes versus 272. But again, this is the game plan, right? From LAFC standpoint, hit him on the counter. So back to your yellow card stat that you just pulled up, Robert. This is another interesting one for me as well. 20 fouls committed for LAFC versus LA Galaxy 7, right? It was very clear coming to this game. Cherundolo wanted to break up the play. It was clear that LAFC were the more aggressive team. They were the aggressors in this game, at least from my vantage point. And those fouls committed kind of shows that. And then 6 corners to 4 in favor of LAFC. So, you know, when I look at these stats, man, the one thing that it reminds me of is unfortunately kind of what the story was like a lot of the games last year for LA Galaxy. Lots of possession, moving it around, triple the amount of accurate passes as the other team, but toothless, right? Not doing anything with it, not getting those breaks, not finishing or creating big that was the thing for me, man. Like 0 big chances. Every game this season, we've created at least 2 or 3, 4 big chances. Nothing in this game, just a bunch of half chances.
Right. And only 4 shots on goal, right? And
yeah,
I was watching this game and I felt like you said, kind of like I did last year, where I felt like the offense was very disconnected. I didn't feel like they were on the same page. I mean, even when in the early days when Joe Pants played his first game and Brapek only had a substitute appearance, they hadn't been with the team that long. They still haven't been with the team that long, to be honest. But
yeah,
just in the very first early days, like it still felt like they had some kind of understanding with each other. In this one, it didn't feel like they had to play together. It was really weird. I mean, I just didn't see like the connection. The offense stuttered. I mean, we saw it. Only 4 chances, no big chances. I think this was no more evident than on a huge chance the Galaxy had on the counter in the 64th minute. And I believe it was Riqui Puig driving down the middle of the pitch. I think he had Joe Pants with him just ahead of him. I think he had Gabriel Peck off to his left.
Yeah. I'll pull it up, man. As you're describing the scene, I clipped that.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was Dejan off to his left.
Yeah, it was Dejan off to his left. Yeah, go for it.
And then just trailing behind him, he has, I believe that's Gabriel Peck, and just they did nothing with it. It was, I mean, that's a legitimate 4-on-2 with 2 very, very fast players within Riqui Puig and Joseph Paintsil. You have a striker in form in Dejan. I just don't see how the Galaxy don't get anything out of this play right here. But that's, again, just an illustration on how the offense kind of was operating with each other. And they didn't really get a lot out of this. I mean, and that's I mean that's, I think, one of the contributing factors of this loss. So lots of possession, like you said, no end product. And I had a chance to ask Greg about it post match, and this is what the LA Galaxy coach had to say.
A little bit of that, and a little bit of their foul. Half the times they touched the ball. I mean, Joseph was fouled by Palencia probably 8 times before he got a yellow card, and then eventually gets a yellow card. So that will slow you down. You don't have any choice. Again, I think sometimes our impatience in trying to rush things and not being patient and getting the wide guys to touch on the ball a little bit more often and trying to split means that they just didn't get as many activities and many touches. Certainly they didn't have the space to run into over the stretches of the game that we've had in others. So I think it's a combination of a number of things, but I think LAFC did what they want to do, which is disrupt as much of what we were trying to do and where we were going, and trying to hit us on the counter and set pieces. And both of those things worked for them today.
Whew. Thoughts, Ananda? Thoughts? Chat?
Yeah.
Do you agree with Greg? Both of you guys, chat and Ananda?
Yeah, definitely let us know, chat. I mean, but he's right. It was a combination of all those things. One of the things that you and I want to talk about was just the sort of the non-connectiveness or whatever the word is. They were the Killa Ps, man. The 3DPs did not show up this game, at least to their full potential, like how we know them to be, right? They, like you said, they just seem disconnected. I think Greg brought up a really, really good point about this idea of impatience. I think that LAFC's game plan was to sit in a deep block and frustrate us, right? And just say, okay, guys, you have the ball, because you know what? We can hit you on the counter at any point in this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they said, have at it, LA Galaxy, break us down. And we did not. Like we you know, there was a couple of possessions where we just didn't make the right pass. We didn't make the right run. We didn't, you know, Riqui, we'll talk about Ricky's performance in a little bit, probably too, a little bit later, but he was impatient in times. He didn't pick the right option, which is, for me, that was a little bit of a letdown for me, for Riqui, because he's usually a pretty good decision maker and he's a risk taker. We know that.
Let's talk about him now. Let's talk about him now.
Talk about him now. Okay. Well, he didn't have his best game.
You're already there, so we might as well just chill there. I mean, we were, you know, talking about, like, you know, the LAFC game plan being a little bit, you know, rough and tumble there and stuff like that. For illustration, you know, Joseph Paintsil was fouled 5 times, Riqui was fouled 7 times, but you know, that's I think they got to him,
their game plan. Yeah,
they got to him. I mean,
they're always physical, though, and LAFC has a very athletic, physical midfield. I mean, they have a very physical, athletic team. Like, that's just how they are. But going back to Riqui, man. So actually, I'm gonna let you react to this stat. This I thought was interesting, because I saw a lot of chatter around.
Okay.
I think Riqui, if I'm not mistaken, had the most passes connected, I think, this game, or most accurate passes, something like that. Like, he was pretty high in the passing stats, and he had like the most touches. And you know, there's a lot of discourse amongst us Galaxy fans that, you know, did he have a good game? Did he have a bad game? Here's the one stat I'll give you, Rob. So Pooch had a team high 13 chances created coming to this match. He created a team high 3 big chances coming into the match. You know how many chances created this game?
None.
Goose egg, 0. And that is the one stat to me that sort of defines sort of whether Riqui had a good or bad game. His imprint was not on this game. He didn't create any chances, which is, he is historically, he's been our main chance creator, and that might change this year with the 2 wingers. But for a player that caliber, and you know, Riqui, when he's on, he gets those slide rule passes. He gets our forwards in there. He didn't create 1 chance, Robert. Not even 1.
I didn't see 1 Trivella. Yeah,
or nothing, right? And again, a lot of that, man, I think, I don't know if the occasion got to him or what, but he didn't make the simple pass and he always tried for the home run. He always tried to dribble himself out of trouble, right? And that's what LAFC wants to do. They sit in that low block and say, okay, Riqui, come at us. Like, we've got 4 defenders there, and in the box are 2 defensive midfielders, and Ilie Sanchez has basically dropped it as a center back, right? Come to us. Like, that's where and he dribbled into that space every single time, right? And then there was like chances, like even the one that the picture that we showed, or sometimes in the attacking third, like, he took the shot rather than slide his winger by on the right side, or there's a couple of those moments he just made the wrong decision. And again, I don't know if this is just a one-off or if this is the actual player he is in big games. Time will tell, but he just was not at the races. But that shows it to you, man. For me, 0 chances created. That's not good enough for a DP.
Soccer USA claims that this is not a low block that we're seeing, but a mid-flex block that apparently LAFC has been playing all season. He says they punish teams that lack defensive discipline. Well, the Galaxy have not historically been known with being a defensively disciplined team, so that could have been why they struggled. But you're right. I saw a lot of discourse about Riqui's game. Did he have a good one? Did he have a bad one? You do not think he had a good one. I don't think he had a Riqui level game, right? Because if we're grading him by his metric, then yeah, he wasn't on. But you know, like he probably played better than a lot of people on the pitch. I just think we're grading him at a different level, right? Because we're expecting him
to
be,
yeah,
exactly.
He's a DP, right?
He's a DP, right? So yeah, I mean, he didn't give the ball away for a goal like he did a couple games ago. He just didn't produce anything, like you said, like no chances created, right? And our good friend Justin Ruderman, who was here the other day, let us know, if LAFC wants to have any success, Denny Bouanga has to be on, like he was against Nashville, where he had a brace and an assist. When Nico Moreno was here talking to us about Seattle, he was saying that Ruiz had to be on if they were going to be successful. I think we clearly saw who needs to be on if the Galaxy are to be successful. Um, I mean, Riqui Puig just wasn't there connecting everybody, and I think that's who you got to get to connect everybody if you're going to have success if you're the Galaxy. So, I mean, but chat, let us know. Did Riqui Puig have a good game? Yes or no? You know what? You're not going to hurt our feelings, even though he is Ananda's cousin.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Jeffrey here. I mean, hopefully it does wake him up from the remainder of the season, and hopefully it wakes up Vanney and the coaching staff as well, into how to sort of attack these low blocks sort of in a more efficient way. I think, I've heard a lot of discourse too about, is it really is it Vanney's fault here? Is it the players' fault? I think it's a little bit of both, man. Like, I'm pretty sure Vanney had a game plan, but I'll tell you what, the players really didn't execute. Like I said, they just made wrong decisions in the final third. They weren't aggressive enough. Like I didn't even see Peck and Paintsil take on their man enough, which I know they can one-on-one. We didn't move the ball quickly enough on certain situations. And yeah, we just didn't make the right decision in the final third. And, those things happen, especially when you get easily frustrated from LAFC defense. Like I said, that they were physical. I mean, that was their game plan. They always try to rough us up too. And that's always been their MO against us. But yeah, hopefully you're right, Jeffrey. Hopefully it does wake him and the rest of the team up for the rest of the season, especially the next time we face a team very similar to LAFC, fast and athletic, sits in a low block.
Well, I think one of the things that we saw in this match as well, Nanda, is that the goal that came off of the set piece in the 4th minute changes the complexion of this game. I mean, like you said, Greg probably had a game plan coming into this match. The goal happens in the 4th minute, and the coaching staff was probably like, all right, you know what, there's still a lot of game left, let's stick to our match. And unfortunately, like we've seen, the team was rather impatient on the whole all day. Greg spoke about it in the press match conference, and really the goal made them chase the game and ramped up that anxiety bit by bit, especially when they gave up the penalty. And then we'll get there again, because we want to give you guys a chance to sound off on this one. But so yeah, man, these set pieces are killing them. I mean, you have to give yourself a chance, and Greg spoke about it last year, where they were giving up a lot of goals and they were having to score a bunch of goals to win or come back and win. We've seen them have to come back a couple of times already this year because of set pieces. You're not going to be an elite team if you can't defend set pieces. If you can't get your defense right, you're not going to progress far, win MLS Cup. I mean, the standard is MLS Cup, right? You're just not going to win it if you don't take care of these set pieces. So let's see how far they can get with just this pure offense right now, because right now it's just pure offense. And aside for one clean sheet, we haven't really seen a defense which is 100% reliable right now. So, you know what? Nanda, do you have anything to add on set pieces? Because I'm sick of them.
Yeah, I'm sick of us not being able to defend him. And like I said, this is the one thing I will put on Vanney is, this is a repeatable pattern now that we're seeing. And when it happens over and over again, I think comes to a point where I mean, it's not just the players, it's the way we're setting up. It's the way we're defending. Are we doing zonal marking? Are we doing man-to-man? And like I said, Robert, this exact play happened last year in the Rose Bowl. We have to know that Elias Sanchez is a near post marker on that set piece. I mean, if I know it just as a fan that watches the Galaxy, I mean, how do the set piece coaches or the coaches not know it, right? So I think, because that's all, to me, that's preparation, right? And I think if you see it over and over again, to me, that's preparation. So I'm going to put that one a little bit more on Vanney, and I think we've got to hold him accountable for that. And hopefully we turn it around, man. But it's a huge problem. And I heard them say, shout out Podfather and Kevin Baxter on the Corner Galaxy. And, when you give up that early goal, it lends itself to LAFC's game plan, which is we're going to sit back. Now we don't have to draw out, right? The longer you keep it at 0-0, the longer
we don't have to go looking.
Exactly. The longer you keep it at 0-0, the more chance that LAFC comes out and we can break them down. But that early set piece goal killed us. And then, of course, the penalty goal 2 minutes or 5 minutes after we scored ours also killed us as well.
Yeah, so that all leads me to my next question for you, Ananda. Was this the Galaxy's worst performance of the season in probably their biggest moment of the season?
Worst performance of the season. Well, I'll tell you this: the first 65 or 60 minutes, however that many was in SKC, that was pretty awful. Like that was really bad. Like we were just getting, I forgot how many shots SKC had in the first half alone, but it was ridiculous, right? Like you and I were together in that game too, and we were just like, oh, let's get through this unscathed. But we somehow came back on that game. Maybe for a total of 90 minutes, yeah, this might have been our worst. But it's funny because I rewatched, Robert, the last about 30 minutes of this game last night just because I wanted to see like if the substitutions had an impact.
I wanted to relive the pain, huh?
I wanted to relive the pain. And to be fair, man, we actually created some really good opportunities in like sort of dangerous situations in that last 30 minutes, especially when Miguel Berry came on. And by the way, I'm going to give, because I don't know if we're going to talk about him today, I'm going to actually give Dejan a shout out because, and people say, oh, you know what? He didn't score his goal. He didn't do anything. Number one, he didn't
rock.
Number one, he didn't get the rock. He didn't get the service, but check this out, man. Dejan created 5 chances yesterday. 5 chances. And you know what? Rewatching that game, he had some nice little layoffs, nice little 1-2s. We just couldn't finish. Like they were still half chances, though they weren't clear-cut chances.
Disconnected.
But again, this is one of those things where it's like, for me, Dejan, he shouldn't be a setup guy. He should be the guy getting at the end of those, right? That's where we know he's, and fair credit to Hugo Lloris, by the way, because the one chance that Dejan did get, Hugo Lloris came up with a big save. That, a nice little sort of action on that right side, one touch, and Dejan got out of his feet, and a really, really good shot on goal. And that's where we need Dejan at the end of things. But he actually didn't have a bad game, and I thought he actually played a really decent game given what the opposition was giving him at the time. But worst before the season, yeah, sure, I would say so in a full 90-minute stretch. But like I said, SKC was pretty forgettable as well.
Yeah, but with SKC, I kind of had the sense that, like, you know what, they're going to come back and get something out of this. When it was 2-1 around the 60th minute, I just didn't see a way forward for this team. They just felt so disconnected. I just didn't know where. I just didn't see where it was going to come from. Right. I was hoping for it, but I didn't know where I was going to come from. Right. But we've talked about the reasons why. The LAFC set up in a low block. One of our chatters in here was talking about was a mid flex block earlier. And so Galaxy got frustrated. They had to chase the game. They gave up that early goal, and they didn't create the chances that they needed to create. Part of me wants to believe that it was the occasion got to them. Ananda, what do you think?
The occasion got to him. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not totally convinced by that necessarily. I think it was just a lack of execution, and it's probably obviously our 2 DPs. That was their first derby as well, so they got a little taste of what that's like, especially at their stadium. But no, man, I think, like, even last year, like, obviously the 4th of July, right? Like, we rose to the occasion, and we didn't have nearly a good a team on paper as this. I know you're going to be like, don't slander Doug like that, but I will, because, it is what it is.
Yeah, come on, man.
but no, I think...
How you going to play our homie Lear Dom like that, homie? Like, that's not cool. Come on.
But no, I think we just didn't have it, man. And like I said, our deficiencies led into LAFC's strengths and game plan. Because like I said, they were just like, okay, try to break us down, Galaxy. Try to break us down, because we didn't show an ability to do that. And they knew they could hit us on the counter every single time. Remember what I told you last episode with Justin Ruderman? Those wing battles. And man, every time Bowan got the ball, I was like, oh boy, here comes trouble. So, it is what it is, right? So there you go.
Could have been 3-1 too. I mean,
He
he
sure as hell could have.
Bowanga missed that one
Absolute
at the
sitter.
back post.
Yeah.
Very, very unlike him. So could have been 3-1 right then and there, and then it really would have been lights out. But you know what? There was that big call that kind of changed everything to that would have, set up that Denny Bowanga brace had he scored that, right? And it's because he scored that penalty. I believe it was around the 30th minute, and this one changed the complexion of this game. Now, Ananda, what I mean, obviously, obviously you didn't think it was a penalty, right? I'm going to assume that.
Obviously not. I'm going to show the photo evidence in a little bit, but yeah,
it's
we have photo
right.
evidence.
Okay, because I've gone on an emotional roller coaster with this one, right? Because in the moment, like in real time, I was like, oh, that's a Stonewall penalty, right? Like I was like,
Same, by the way.
Mickey Yamane, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, Mickey Yamane, what are you doing, son?
Same.
Like he's done a madness, right? And then like we saw the replay. We saw one angle of the replay, and a couple of us in the box were looking at this, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of like inconclusive, and I only got to see it once. So by halftime, we've mentioned Justin a couple of times, like him and I were talking about this, and I was like, I don't know, man, like based on what I've seen so far, I think it's a penalty, dude. And Justin was very adamant. Credit to him. He's like, no, I don't think it was. I don't think it was, right? And Anthony Bautista as well. So shout out to him. So shout out to both those boys. But both of them were like, no, we don't think so. And I'm just like, you know what? There's some contact there. Like I don't know. I'm really gonna have to see this one, break it down, right? So I get home, and after the game is over, and walk by Gareth Bale on the way out. He's a physical specimen, that guy for sure. Anyway, so I get home, and I'm talking to my wifey, and I'm like, so what did you think about the penalty? And she's like, oh, not a penalty for sure. And I was like, I don't know, I'm still not convinced. I really got to go watch it. And so I came to the computer and watched it. Like, I literally looked up on X, just like different people who had posted about it, like different angles and stuff like that. And I started to see like, yeah, man, that's not a penalty. That can't be a penalty. Like you can even see like the body shape of the beginning of the dive before Mickey Yamane like hits this.
Oh, you know what? Since you're talking about it, I'm gonna pull it up right now. Go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay, right there. That's where it is, right? And you know what? Like, never a penalty, right? And so. But again, in real time, it looks terrible. So you can understand why the referee gets it wrong, right? But then VAR gets involved, right? So at that point, you're thinking VAR is going to overturn. So referee goes over and checks VAR. Everything he sees, he gives the goal, and I just don't know how the decision is made. And I've been looking for the pool reporters like decision on this one to find out what the official like ruling was on this one, and the only thing that I can think is that like he gets enough of them, and he goes down that he gives it, but I just don't see it, man. Chat, of course we want to hear you sound off on this one. Fue penal, no fue penal, era penal, no era penal, and of course I've seen a couple of LAFC fans already say, nah, it wasn't a penalty, so I don't think I'm gonna go off good faith and say, for our LAFC fans that are in here, because I believe there are a couple in here, I'm sure you guys can answer in good conscience what you think it is. But Ananda, what about you?
I mean,
sound off, bro. Sound off.
All I got to say is, did this ref the United game as well? Because I saw a very similar sort of really questionable penalty call in that game as well. Poor old Wan-Bissaka. But anyways, like, I mean, look, the guy, look at his body position. He was already falling over, like looking for this, right? And I mean, I think there was an image. I saw an image after this where like he literally like spread out his right leg just to make contact with Mickey Yamane as he's trying to pull out of the challenge. I mean, look, I'm gonna obviously call it from my sort of like white, blue, and gold glasses here, but I mean, guys, like this is, I don't know. I just, it is what it is. But like you, like, here's the thing, right? Like, if I see this, I'm looking at this image right here. Sure, it's not a penalty, but I, like you, at the moment, I was like, oh, he goes down to the box. That's a tough one. That might be a pen, right? But then if you look at it in this angle and multiple camera angles, I mean, the guy was already falling over before Yamane even touched him. He probably got him on the follow through, but again, it wasn't a like a shooting action. Like, he was already on the way down. Again,
does not impact.
and again,
play.
I'm not a pro ref. I'm not even a scab ref for crying out loud. Like, I don't know what the rule book says exactly, but
Bring back the DJ ref.
bring back the scab refs. Exactly. But it was a tough one, man. But you know what? The one thing I will say is, I mean, you know, we can all sound off as Galaxy fans on that, but we had 89 minutes of the game to do something about it, and unfortunately we didn't. So, and I'm just kind of one of those people where it's like, the call was a call. It was tough luck. We've had 2 of them this season, by the way, because the Busquets one was also ridiculous, right? That led to us losing 2 points. But you know what? We had the rest of the game to do something about it, and we didn't. But I will say this, for game states, the momentum of the game. Remember, we were 1-1 at that point, Robert. We'd just gotten the goal back. We were sort of flying high. We'd gotten a little bit of the momentum, and that play just killed it. It killed it. It told LAFC, you know what? We're going to go back to our low block. We're going to play the same game plan that we did and frustrate the living S out of the LA Galaxy. And they did. So unfortunately, from that standpoint, like, I wish I would have seen what would have happened if it would have stayed 1-1, if the game state would have changed at that point, who would have been on the ascendancy. But unfortunately, we'll never know the answer to that question.
Well, like you said, the Galaxy have been hard done, or seemingly hard done, depending on who you ask, 2 times already this season. But you also did say that there was a lot of game left.
Yeah.
And that's at heart what I think, we were talking about the offense, right? Like, they were so disconnected that even with approximately like 60 plus injury time, which was like, I think was like 5 or 7 at the end of the first half, and like 3. So maybe like 60 more minutes, like 65 more minutes. They didn't do anything. So it's like you didn't give yourself an opportunity to win, and you fed into the opponent's strengths. You're not going to win like that. So it is what it is. I mean, first defeat of the season. It had to happen sometime. You've said it a couple times. It's unfortunate that it happened against the LA Galaxy's city rival. Gives LAFC bragging rights at least until July 4th, when there's that showstopper, which is, I believe, going to be part of a yearly tradition now, the 4th of July game at the Rose Bowl.
Rob, this is a really good point, right? By the way, that I didn't bring up. So thanks for bringing it up, Jeffrey. It wasn't a penalty, and if it was, then they should have called a penalty for Yoshida when they drive him to the ground. So that's the other thing that I forgot too, with the inconsistent calls, or at least not inconsistent calls, but at least missed calls, I'm going to say, because like I said, you know, there was 20 fouls called for LAFC. Yoshida was being tossed around and getting his shirt tugged and everything in that penalty box. I mean, and they just let it go, right? So again, the consistency here is a little bit, a little bit disappointing as well. And so that was
about it.
Yeah, good point there, Jeffrey, because I saw that too, and Yoshida was visibly frustrated with that. And like I said, I don't know what constitutes a penalty in the box with shirt tugging. Like, I've seen them called before, and I've seen them let go, like in this case. So yeah, frustrating night all around for sure.
Yeah, I think what was frustrating about this call is that, like you mentioned, Maya had taken down in the box. Elias Sanchez grabs him off of a set piece, takes him down, and nothing is called. I believe that was 2 of 3 hard challenges on Maya. So Greg did call that out in the post-match presser about how the refereeing was just basically inconsistent. But again, he did call out that they didn't do enough to win on the day. So it's like, both things can be true, right?
Be true.
Like,
right.
You're right. So it wasn't a penalty, but they also, okay, cool. The penalty was given. Bonga scored it. It's 2-1. You accept on, and then you try to go get your second goal, and that didn't happen, right? So, like I said, both can be true. No fue penal, but they didn't do enough to win on the day. So that is what it is. But like I said, there was a silver lining. Julian Aude scored his first goal for the Galaxy. And because of that, he was one of our nominees for defending the badge. The ex-LAFC keeper, John McCarthy, went back to his old stomping grounds and had a 7-save match. He spoke post-match about how this was just another game, and like both sides of Los Angeles have treated him well. Edwin Cedillo, defending the badge nominee for playing center back for the first time and going out there and doing a pretty admirable job, I would have to say.
Yeah.
Then you have Gabriel Peck, never stopped fighting, never stopped working, and probably not one of the offense's greatest performances. He was a bright spot. When he got the ball, I started to believe that something might happen.
If it wasn't for a few cynical yellow cards, we could have been going the other way. There was a few transition moments, but they played that was their game, right? They wanted to disrupt us. They got 6 yellow cards, you said? Yeah. He looked dangerous on the counter, but unfortunately they used the dark arts on us, like they always say, Robert, and that they prevented those counters from happening.
So, guys, you have your defending the badge nominees right there. You have Julian Aude, John McCarthy, Edwin Cedillo, and Gabriel Peck. Let us know who you thought took this defending the badge. We do have an official winner, though, Ananda. And I don't think it's any surprise that the official winner is. Did you want to announce it today? I feel like I always announce it.
Yeah. You can announce it, Baba. But did you want to give our picks first and let the chat pick their defending the badge before we give the people's vote here per 8 million votes, as Eddie Nag said last time?
Oh yeah. No, this week I saw that 9 million actually voted.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
So thank you to all 9 million of you for voting on this. Are you putting me on the spot, or are you going first?
I'll put you on the spot. So who is your pick out of the 4?
Honestly, it's got to be John McCarthy.
I'm with you.
He made a couple of saves that I thought were goal bound, and he kept them out. Again, it could have been 3-1, but not for that Bouanga miss. I think without McCarthy's intervention, it could have been like 5-1. I mean, just one that he just kind of crawled out. Like, I was just like, whew, my heart stopped. But yeah, that'd be my pick, John McCarthy.
Yeah, I thought he was outstanding. I mean, 7 saves. To do that, though, in the context of going to your old team, right? I'm sure there was a lot of emotion. There was a lot of sort of backstory behind that. Of course, I'm sure he was getting a lot of abuse on that side from the fans, from the opposing fans. But you know what? Fair credit to the guy. And he kept us, he's an example of, just like Roman Berkey and St. Louis against us, right? He literally kept the Galaxy within touching distance of at least getting a point in that game. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be, but man, like, hats off to you, John McCarthy. And, he's, he did have that one mistake, Robert, where he let in that own goal. But other than that, he's been a pretty darn solid keeper this year. His numbers have been pretty good as well. I did see, like, even in this game, I think his XG prevented was like almost 2 goals or something like that, which is really, really good. So yeah, hats off to John McCarthy. I agree with you there for our defending the badge. But we do have a people's vote winner. Why don't I'll announce it this time, Robert, since I am on the roll here. Yep.
We do have a shout out for Maya Yoshida, Tony.
Oh, interesting.
You know what? We talk about this all the time, how defending the badge isn't necessarily like what you do on the field, but what you do for the badge. And Tony says that Yoshida, for keeping the team focused. Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad shout out, because after the penalty, after getting roughhoused a little bit, any one of these moments could have been one of those moments where it spilled over, and la bronca. I la bronca, bro. But you know what? I think Maya's a cool head, and I think he could have reacted the same way after any one of the fouls that he got, and he did make himself heard, but he didn't, get in anybody's face or So yeah, I like that one. So Maya gets a special shout out this week for trying to keep the team focused. And now, without further ado, Ananda, you giving it or am I giving it? Because you started, and then I stopped you because we want to talk about Tony real quick.
I will take this one. So guys, for your 9 million votes, 40, I believe the final tally was 43% or 44% of the vote did go to our defending the badge winner for match week 8, and that is El Pibe, Julian Aude. That's his first one of the season, man. So congrats to Julian. Again, great goal. I think Rob, Julian, we got to start talking about Julian soon. I know Alex put a great article out on him as well at the Galactic Tribune. Julian is slowly becoming a vital contributor to this team. I mean, you saw some of the positions that he was taking, man. On that goal, he was basically like a left winger or even another forward. He was even more advanced than Joe Paintsil on that particular goal. And I think he's going to be a really important piece, man, moving forward. Hopefully, we develop in the right way, but I like his attributes, and I think slowly he's maturing into a really, really solid player, both not only defensively but offensively as well, as we saw in this game.
Yeah, you're right. We got to show him some love here pretty soon. Of course, his Senora Madre has interacted with us on the socials, so thank you for that. And he's always fantastic when we get to speak to him. A very, very nice young man. I mean, what can I say? I mean, he's very young. 21. I think we celebrated his birthday a couple weeks ago.
Right.
So yeah, and he's becoming a big contributor to this team. I mean, not only defensively, but he carries the ball a lot. I mean, I don't know what his official touches are, but he gets involved in the play a lot for a defender for a back. So I'm sure his time will come where we really break him down. But congratulations to him on his first defending the badge win of the year. Do you have a running tally of where everyone is? I know we have Mark with 1, Joseph with 1. That's Julian with 1.
Mark has 2. That he's our leader this year, if I'm not
mistaken.
Oh
yeah. I said Mark with 2, Joseph with 1.
I said
Joseph with 1, Julian with 1.
I think
Does
Riqui has 1.
Mm-hmm. Riqui has 1. That leaves us with 3 to account for.
Yeah, we got to look back at the tape. But yeah, we'll give you a mid-season report. How about that?
We're gonna have to run a graphic because I want to see where everyone is. Because last year, if you remember, I mean, we did mention Doug earlier in this podcast. Last year, surprisingly, Doug took like 4 or 5 of these things.
Yeah. I know. Man, exactly right. Well, remember, Cerrillo got 1 for the head-to-head against Messi. That famous pick so he won game week 1.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm sure.
Well,
we'll tally it up. Yeah, we'll look back at the tape.
Yeah, Nando's going to go ahead and tally this up, guys, and then we'll bring it to you mid-season and see where everybody's at and see where everybody who has a chance to get the ultimate defending badge. But guys, again, this 2-1 defeat, unfortunate, but when you lose, don't lose a lesson, and it had to happen sometime. Now the Galaxy can take the lessons from this match and move on to next week. So where are they after this match? Through 7 matches played during 2024, they hold a 3-1-3 record. They're on 12 points, and they sit in second place in the Western Conference behind the Vancouver Whitecaps, who have 13 points. Galaxy are 5th in the Supporter Shield, and they're averaging 1.71 points per game at the moment. And it's interesting that they should be just underneath Vancouver at the moment, because who does the Galaxy have next, Ananda?
Oh, man. Brian White and those guys that are absolutely moving right now in first place in the West. And yeah, I think I saw a stat, Robert, on Corner of the Galaxy that someone posted in the chat. And if we got to look this up for the next game, but I think the Galaxy, it was something like the Galaxy have not won away in Vancouver since 2013, which would be a wild stat. Another one, another one of those wild stats. Remember the last regular season game we had in Vancouver was the Chris Mavinga special that day. So yeah, with the red card.
Oh man. You know what, that was
bringing back memories.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and then there was the Douglas madness in Texas, and then the Martine madness in Texas, and man,
yeah,
good times.
Good times.
Well, there was and those were different times. Hopefully, they'll be able to go to Vancouver and get a result. So the Galaxy do play Vancouver next weekend away. On 4/13 Saturday at 7:30 p.m. I didn't know the stat went that deep away, Ananda, but I do know that the Galaxy has not beat Vancouver in the last 4 matches. That is all competitions. That includes a Leagues Cup match, which I believe was the Galaxy's second game of the Leagues Cup, and they dropped that one 2-1. That was a defeat at home. Not good odds right there. Geez, I don't even know what to expect from this match, because, like you mentioned, Vancouver's on the high. But if you're one of those betting sort of people, Ananda will have some odds for you in the next pod when we do have a preview pod for this one. Ananda, anything else to mention before we get on out of here?
No, other than I just want to shout out again, executive producer Herb, always in the chat, spreading the good vibes. So guys, remember always to hit the like button, hit the subscribe. And he also said, shout out Alex Ruiz. So thanks, man. Thanks for the love. But that's all I got to say, guys. If you haven't subscribed to us and you love what you're hearing, definitely hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and again, put someone on. And man, we love seeing you chat. Unfortunately, this was a group therapy session that we all had to endure, but I'm glad we went through it together. Hopefully you guys feel a little better after talking to us about. This is going to be like one of the few times, or hopefully the last time we get to relive this match, and hopefully we'll get them again. We got like at least two more chances against these guys later on in the year, and so hopefully, don't worry, guys. This is football, right? We always have another day, and we always have another rematch. So hopefully, looking forward to that. But first of all, like you said, Vancouver, a very, very tough test. I think I will say this before even we do the preview pod. This is a pretty big game for the Galaxy. I think this will show sort of our resilience. When we talked about that word a lot, resilience, our bounce back ability for this team. It's going to get put to the sword this weekend for sure. And we'll see what this team's made of, man. But, that's all I got to say. And we'll look forward to do the preview pod later this week.
Well, that's what it is, LA Galaxy fans and all you Lacuna Galaxians out there. Thank you so much for catching this pod once again. Hang with us on Thursday night as we do a preview of that Vancouver match, and we bring you everything you need to know before we get into that on Saturday. Anandita Kirana, thank you so much once again for hanging. And I'm Rob Halon. Only one thing left to say is G